Today's show, we'll be talking about Cameroon. Each week on Beats Africa, you're engaging in a special show. You as the listener, whether it's Facebook Live, you as the viewer. We were discussing last week's show with Liberia, and at one moment I had what you may call an epiphany moment. We were talking to our East African correspondent, Boniface, who will be on later around the 3:30 time. He's from Kenya. We were talking to our Liberian guest, and this is all at the same time. So we were already talking to our Kenyan correspondent. On the other line was our Liberian guest. Our co-host Asedua was here. She's Ghanaian from the Fanti tribe. DJ IBM is here. He's Akwe-Apem. And here I am, Rashad McCrory from the United States. And we're having a dialogue discussing Africa. The cultures, the traditions, the similarities, the differences. These are not common dialogues. You get these dialogues at the United Nations, the African Union. But here you are getting it every single Sunday from 3 to 5 p.m. So as I said before, our show today is Cameroon, which is such a diverse country that I will talk about more. It's considered miniature Africa because of all the different terrains, all the different people. One tidbit I'll even give you early. Cameroon, they speak over 250 different languages. I said, how many do Ghana speak? They said Ghana speaks around 50 different languages. Imagine a country that has so many people and so many broken up into so many borders and tribes and cultures that they speak 250 languages. We'll be back soon. Special happy birthday shout out to my DJ IBM. I wasn't invited to the birthday party. What happened? You owe me an invite to next year. So we're here. We'll be back soon. Again, this is Soul to Soul, our signature tune. Live and Die in Africa, one of my favorite songs. Vibe out to that. And up next, we'll have our guest, Miss Jane Olive from Cameroon, to teach us about one of the many cultures. We'll see you in a few. So we have our guest from Cameroon, Miss Only Love. She's an businesswoman. I like to say entrepreneur, doing so many different things. You know, when people say business people usually associate business with one single entity, one single line of income. But when you start meeting people who have 3, 4, and 5 and what Christians say, 7 streams of income, you know, that's when you start using the word entrepreneur. So, but we have a businesswoman, Miss Only Love. Please tell us about yourself and welcome to Beats Africa.
Thank you, Mr. Rashad, and nice to meet you, Asidwa. My name is Amundam Jean Olive. I'm from Cameroon. I'm a businesswoman. I do mostly drop shipping with various goods, clothes, shoes, jewelry, anything you can name it. And I also do a little bit of translation and interpretation at the side.
Yeah.
I'm from the English-speaking part of Cameroon, Northwest region, specifically from Bamenda. It's a small town.
Bamenda.
Yes, a small town in the Northwest region.
That's great. They say Cameroon, only 17% of the population speaks English.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Majority is the French-speaking side, because we have 10 regions, just 2 are from the English-speaking part. The rest of the 8 are French-speaking part.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You said you do language teaching. What languages do you teach? How many languages do you speak?
2, French and English.
French and English. Okay. Yeah. Je m'appelle Francois. That's how I said I speak French. Yeah.
Je m'appelle.
Je m'appelle.
Yes.
Okay. We have a guest from Gabon next week, so maybe you can interpret.
Okay. I'll be glad to do that.
Great. I know I said 5 years. that you've been in Ghana. What inspired you to come to Ghana? How did the opportunity present itself?
Okay, initially I wanted to do logistics and transport, and I realized Cameroon was not really, they really didn't have experience, a lot of knowledge in it, like the way Ghana does. So I thought it was better for me to come over here and get the knowledge, so I'll be able to go back to my country and like implement what I studied over here. Then unfortunately for me now, the Anglophone crisis thing came, and that was one of the things that actually pushed me to come finally to Ghana and to settle.
Please tell me about the crisis. What's the name again? Say it clearly, please.
The Anglophone crisis.
Anglophone
yes.
crisis.
Yeah, it was like a crisis. It initially started with teachers and lawyers fighting for they just wanted the government to like fix some of the laws concerning the judiciary and everything, because along the line the government kind of like sent French judges to the English speaking part of Cameroon. The judges in the court were French from the French speaking part, so the lawyers were not that happy, and the teachers too were complaining a lot about being sent to far away places or sending French speaking teachers to come and teach in English. So it initially started just like that, like a calm, peaceful protest from the teachers and the lawyers, but the government was not really doing anything about it. So the thing just kept progressing, and before we knew it, these separatist people joined the protest, and it turned from a normal lawyer-teacher thing to Anglophone Cameroonians wanting independence, not wanting to be part of the French people anymore, and that's how it escalated. So there was a lot of kidnapping, arrest. I mean, it was really not good. So there's a lot of displacement, people running from staying in the bushes, people trying to go to other countries, neighboring countries, Nigeria and the rest.
Okay. Wow.
So I would want to know, would you say that, of course Cameroon has a lot of affiliates with the French, with English, so more like it's a bigger picture now. So would you say that that's mainly the cause of all of these fights, like having people who can speak French, maybe sometime they would want to, be on their own, be independent, as you say. So would you say that all of these interferences has caused, all of the fight?
Yeah, I would say indirectly, yes. It has affected us in a way. And then the big thing about it is when you go to Cameroon, you realize that the Anglophones are marginalized a lot. When it comes to a lot of things, you go in the government, you see few Anglophones representing. You go to maybe awarding contracts, there are always a French people taking over. You go to universities, the people working are the French people. So a lot of marginalization. So since everything just accumulated and people have been crying and talking about it, when the lawyers and the teachers started the protest, the other people that had their other grievances, they just took it as an opportunity to air their mind and say, no, this is too much. We are no longer going to take this. This is what we want. So I think indirectly it affected us, and along the line we realized that, this French and this English thing will not be able to keep up with it, and we need to be on our own and all that.
So for clarity, Anglophone.
Yes.
All right, what is it? What group? Can you tell us about the people just quickly? Not.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Anglophones, they are the ones from like I said, we have 10 regions. The 2 regions that are Anglophones are the Northwest region and the Southwest region. So those are mostly the people that consider themselves Anglophones. You go there, you will see, if you go to those 2 regions, there are other little tribes, but majority are just made of the Anglophone. They speak English.
Yeah.
You'll find them speaking French, because we need to know the French in order to, like, we should not go somewhere and want to get a job and they'll tell you don't speak French and all that. So you find most Anglophones, English speaking Cameroonians, always speaking French and English. But you might find most of the French speaking Cameroonians not speaking English, because it's not really something they need to.
You need to know.
Yes.
It's not necessary.
Yes, unlike us. Yes.
So looking at, you see, these 2 languages are very prime. So you would go to a different country and then you would have to express yourself. And I'm looking at productivity. has it really played a major role in your productivity as a country? Of course, there are many countries that speak French, and so once you speak French, you are seen as someone who can, do a lot for them. If you can speak English, then voila, you are gone. So how is productivity like?
Voila, that's some French.
I think yes, the fact that the two languages are there and we are like forced to push to know this, it has actually helped us. Because if you're able to go, like I said, I do translation and interpretation sometimes. It's because I'm able to speak French. So it has actually helped me to be able to get maybe a little job here or a little something there. Or sometimes I might go for an interview and someone actually realized that, I can speak French. And it's added, it's a bonus for me. So for me, it has helped us in a way. No matter how we might say we are English speaking, French, we don't want, but knowing the two languages has actually helped us to be able to break and enter certain places. So I think, it has helped.
That's awesome.
It's congratulations on finding success in the middle of whether it's catastrophe, adversity. A personal story of mine actually has to do with some conflict in Cameroon. I first visited the African continent in 2015. We started planning my first trip to Africa was supposed to be Cameroon. And we started planning that trip in 2014. Then, however, the Ebola outbreak of 2014 happened. And I was going with the school. And then the school tried to say, we can't go to any African country. So this is 2014 now. This is not modern day talk. Africa is not, this is not now. You say, Africa is not a country. Africa's, everybody want to say that now. But back in 2014, I led a group to say Africa is not a country. Africa is a continent with 54 different countries, cultures, traditions. And we identified Ghana as a country that was welcoming the foreigners. At the time, there was no year of return beyond the return campaign. So we cited right of Adobe, and that's how I ended up in Ghana. But Cameroon has always held a special part of my heart because that was my motivation to first visit the continent. My first opportunity. I've been loving Africa since 5 years old. I've shared that story on other platforms. So congratulations to you finding adversity. We're going to be going to our East African correspondent, Boniface, in about 2 minutes. But until then, what are some of the challenges that you have faced just transitioning from country to country as Africa as a whole continue to do free trade, which I'm sure that you've been looking into, and more Africans are being able to travel from country to country? What are some of the adversities that you've had migrating to a new country, especially as a businesswoman?
Okay, I would say, first of all, in Ghana, first language. Language has been a really kind of a problem.
Do you speak any tree or anything?
I hear a little. Okay. But I don't speak. I don't really speak. Yes,
Yeah.
So I think language has been one of the issue, because sometimes you're able to maybe talk and someone actually understands what you want to say if you express yourself more in tree. And then there's this thing that a lot of people, when they hear your accent and they know you're a foreigner, immediately they think you're a Nigerian. And some people, no matter how you explain to them that you are not a Nigerian because your accent, they don't believe it. They will keep telling you, no, you sound like a Nigerian. And maybe because of their experience with Nigerians, and maybe, I don't know, they will not want to give you an opportunity because they will just sit like, no, you are a Nigerian. Nigerians are not good, or Nigerians are not this or that. So that language thing and the stigma of Nigeria, I've had a lot of experience not being taken serious because of that. Yes. Okay,
great. We're going to transition over to our East African correspondent, Boniface. All the East African countries from Tanzania, Burundi, Rwanda, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, the one currency, the one government, the one army. I think that's a move that if the continent as a whole over the next years and decades can accomplish, I think that would be just so powerful for Africa to return to the leaders of the world. I think big. I think big. So, Boniface, thank you again, and I look forward to speaking to you next week on the show, where you'll continue to bring us just the best news out of East Africa and Africa as a whole.
Yes.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Take care. Take care. And
Awesome.
up next, we'll be returning with our guest Jane Love to learn more about Cameroon. This is Beats Africa, streaming live on Facebook at 3FM 92.7. And we're talking about the country of Cameroon. And we have our guest here, Jane Love, a Cameroonian living in Ghana. She's been sharing her story, coming from Cameroon, now living in Ghana as a businesswoman, and been teaching us a lot about, so far, the history of Cameroon, recent history of Cameroon. And now we want to start looking into the tradition of Cameroons, the culture of Cameroons. So to start you off, just to give you a little runway, and feel free to answer Sejua's questions and any follow-up questions. Are there any immediate similarities or differences that you've seen between your individual culture and what you see here in Ghana?
There are a lot of differences when it comes to culture. Actually, there are a lot of differences. Considering we have a lot of tribes over there are a lot of differences, but for the similarities, I think we share certain values, African values.
Like what?
Let's talk about like respect for elders, respect for certain traditions. Like in Ghana, I realize some tribes, maybe the Ga people, they have certain culture and traditions they carry out every year. They respect that and they do that every single year I've been in Ghana. They do that. We also have traditions we carry out in Cameroon that we stick to, like maybe a particular season, a particular time, no matter what.
Are they like festivals?
Well, we do have festivals, like in each villages.
Yeah.
Most of the time they organize those things in villages.
What festivals do they have in your village?
In my village, I don't really know the name of the festival. But
it'll be free.
Yeah, I don't really know the name of the festival, but we have something we call Come Together. Come together, we organize it, and people from different, whether in the US, in the UK, or wherever, they come and we go to the village and we carry out all those traditional rites, dances, eat food together, share drink and everything. We do that every year. Like every year.
And what does it commemorate?
It's more about just reminding us who we are, and then reminding us about unity. Exactly. That no matter where we are, we always have to know that we are together no matter what, and we can always come together and portray that unity, no matter whatever goes on.
I think that's a good thing. And of course, many of our festivals here are also to bring people together from all walks of life. And one thing I read about your culture, I would say is a part of our culture because it's who we represent. That Cameroon practices polygamy, and that is so interesting for me. Of course, here in Ghana, we have our Muslim communities. It's part of who Muslims are. But then with Christians, people do it, but then they don't. It's not in our faces, But then I'm seeing Cameroon. It's so public and it's being practiced. How is it like there?
Yeah, in Cameroon, most of the time when you're getting married, it's always best to, like, if you're with your spouse, you guys decide if it's monogamous or polygamous. You always decide that. So before you even get to court or whatever, you already know your situation. If it's monogamy or it's polygamy, it's open. It's not anything that you need to hide and go and hide and do it. No, in the court, the person in charge will ask you guys, is it monogamy or polygamy? Yes.
And it doesn't cause any stir, like any.
It always causes problems sometimes when the man actually tells the lady it's monogamy, but when you guys reach at the corner and he says no, it's polygamy. So you see a whole big problem. Or maybe sometimes there are some guys that are actually married polygamy already, and they meet another lady, and they don't even tell her that they're already married. And by the time he's getting married at the court, and you see one lady jumping in and shouting and saying that's her husband, and you'll be surprised, like, this guy, I know he's not married. So yeah, so those things happen. Yeah,
so when you came here to Ghana and you started seeing so many festivities, because in Ghana there's a story in everything. There's a story in the flag that the companies fly. There's a story in the dances. There's a story between the food. There's a story in the names. With Cameroon being a country with so many, over 230 different tribes and groups, that still blows my mind. That still blows my mind. I'm trying to get Fontie and Tree together, let alone knowing that if I wanted to travel, there's literally hundreds of languages. How do stories get translated? Is there a sense of community, culture, pride within any individual tribe, or is it more like you spoke of earlier? If you speak French, then we're on the same side. If you speak English, then we're in this together. Is there individual tribal community and union?
Yes, there is. English and French is like the general language that everybody speaks. So, but when it comes, now you break it down, each tribe has its culture and its tradition. So no matter how you meet a Cameroonian, maybe from this tribe speaking French and this one speaking English, they all have their individual cultures. They have their traditions that they practice. They have things they identify themselves with. Like if you go to the western side of Cameroon and my side of Cameroon, northwest too, you always identify us by our attire. We have a special attire, like in Ghana, the kente.
Yeah.
If you go to Cameroon, the people from the west region and northwest region, that's where I'm from, we have a particular attire. They call it togu. It's called togu. Yes. So when you see someone with it, you know.
What does the name mean, togu?
Togu.
Yeah. Yeah.
Togu. I think it's all about, it's generally like, if you look at the colors of the togu, it's green, red, yellow, then black. So it's all about showing you that, okay, this is Cameroon, peace, world, fatherland, unity, and all that.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is why I'm wearing green, red, and yellow for the Cameroonian flag today. I don't know if you ever noticed, each week I wear the colors of the flag for for the country.
Yeah. So if you go to any of these regions, you'll be able to identify them by that material or something. You see them putting on this particular one, this regalia, or putting on this one. You know this one is from the northwest, this one is from the west.
Yeah.
So, but these two fabrics, they are really, really prominent in Cameroon, in such a way that you can also see people from different tribes putting it on.
Wow. Because
now they have made it to look like it's something to, like, if you see someone with it, you know this person is a Cameroonian. Yeah. It's no longer, okay, it's the person is from the northwest or the person is from the west region. Yes. So you can actually identify people with that. But as you said, there are so many languages, like 200 and something. Yeah. All of those tribes, they have traditions and cultures that are peculiar just to them. Yeah. So during the break and during the show, our regular listeners know that I love all the music that we get to play. And one thing that I've also been making my mind up to experience is more food from different cultures. And upon doing my research and seeing all the wonderful foods that they have in Cameroon, I can't wait to visit Cameroon and just eat. eat.
There's one food of yours which I saw, and I don't know if I'm going to mention it right. Ndole. And I love, everything that goes on in there with beef, bitter leaf, and everything. I'm thinking it tastes so well.
Very, very nice.
So is it like a national dish, or it's linked to a particular tribe?
It's actually a dish for the people from Douala. Douala is like the people in the economic capital of Cameroon. They are the ones that mostly cook that. That's like their dish.
The economic capital.
Yes, the economic capital, yes. So the ndole, you can actually eat it with almost everything. Ripe plantains, cassava, cocoyams, rice. Some people even eat ugari. I mean, a lot of things. So it's for them, but everybody cooks it. Almost every home, if you go, you always meet ndole.
What is your favorite food?
Ndole.
It is your favorite food. Great.
It's actually my favorite food. Then koki corn.
Koki corn.
So another one I like. That one it's made out of corn. Corn and cocoyam leaves. You actually grind the corn.
Yeah.
You mix it with red oil and you cut the cocoyam leaves and you shred it and you throw it inside. You mix everything.
Yeah.
Then you tie it in the plantain leaf.
Is there anything, Esedua, is there anything that you can that they have here that I might not know of?
Very good.
That's what I was thinking in my head. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Something. And I think I'm more into your flag, your national flag. I'm trying to find similarities with that and the Ghana flag. Of course, every color that is on your flag is on the Ghana flag, with the exception of our black star, is your yellow star. And I don't know if the meanings to our colors are the same as yours. Of course, our red, it stands for the blood that our forefathers shed. Our yellow meaning our, our rich, our wealth. And our green, for our vegetation, and our black star, more like it's our pride, the lodestar that we own. So I want to know about yours. What do you also have the red being the blood that your forefathers shared?
I would say I'm not an expert in that part, but listening to...
I've read that the red stands for authority.
That's what
authority and power, specifically.
Yes.
The yellow stands for gold, treasures, wealth.
So it's similar.
Yeah, and the green is agriculture.
Yes, that's what I wanted to say, that I think it's almost the same thing, because you said the green stands for forest and so I think it's almost the same thing with Ghana flag. I think it represents the same thing, almost the same thing, I'll say.
And one thing I've seen that, Cameroonians are more into is arts. And I don't know how true is that. I've seen that you are into sculpture, making, anything arts. Artistry, clay. So I'm wondering what is the percentage to your, what does it contribute? Is it something that, it's you are really into economically, or it's just more like a leisure activity or something?
I would say I don't think it's really that huge something over in Cameroon. I don't think so. There's sculpting and making things out of clay and everything, and people do that, but I don't think it's really a big thing, that big, the way someone could imagine it. I don't think it's that big. I don't think so. I've never really, now that you're saying it, I'm trying to actually imagine and picture it, that is it actually something that has been going on that I've not paid attention to, but I don't think it's that.
Okay.
To the best of my knowledge anyway.
So when we return, we're going to talk more about the transport that they have in Cameroon, currency, housing markets. So we look forward to hearing more from our guest, Ms. Jane Love, Beats Africa. I just love this Cameroonian music. Yeah.
It's a vibe.
It's definitely a vibe. Every week, not only are we bringing you history, culture, and tradition from various countries throughout the African continent, we're also bringing you the top jams.
Exactly.
And we do our best, featuring DJ IBM. Let's make sure our DJ get the proper shout outs. Not only the current top charts, but the top artists and recent history of the music that they vibe to in different countries. And I love the music every week. We don't get to hear this all the time.
Exactly.
We hear our music just like every country in the world. We hear our songs 10, 15 times a day, 100 times in a week. These are the songs that the other countries are jamming to 10, 15 times a day.
All the time.
100 times a week. So we're here in studio with our guest, Miss Jane Olive from Cameroon. Jane, how are you feeling?
I'm okay, I'm all right.
Are you enjoying your time on Beats Africa?
Yes, a lot.
share. Great. You know, we'll definitely have you back one day to share your story. Um, we want to transition into more commonalities or things that we have both here in Ghana and also things that you know about Cameroon. Currency. What is the Cameroonian currency? Is it all one currency throughout the country? Is it broken up in different districts?
No, it's the same currency.
Same
France
currency.
CFA.
Okay. What is it called?
France CFA, Central African France CFA.
Central Africa franc CFA. And what is the relative exchange rate? Do you have an idea of what it is now? Like how much one franc is to one CD?
Right now, I cannot really tell because it really changes like every second.
Is it okay?
Like,
What about towards
sometimes
the dollar?
towards the dollar, it's $1 is 650 francs CFA.
650 francs.
Yes,
Okay.
so to Ghana cedis, I think 650 francs, maybe Ghana cedis, it's not up to 10 cedis. It's not up to 10 cedis. It's something maybe 4 cedis.
For
3
CD.
cedis, 50 pesos.
Okay.
Depending on, because the France CFA and cedis changes a lot. At one point, you can see maybe getting 10,000 francs and you're getting 200 cedis over here. Before you know it, the next minute has changed again from 200 cedis to maybe 130 cedis. So it fluctuates a lot.
In your business, do you do a lot of import export drop-in services with Cameroon or strictly?
For Cameroon, I mostly do buy stuffs that they order.
Yeah.
So I have people that order for stuffs from Ghana, especially black soap. The Ghana
Black soap.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a lot of people that order for that, so I buy and send over there. But in Ghana, it's mostly clothes, shoes, makeup, all those little things. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Housing accommodations. About how much? What is housing accommodations in Cameroon like? Do you pay monthly, yearly, bi-yearly?
Okay. Normally before they used to, it was monthly, but recently it changed. It's almost the same thing over here in Ghana, paying yearly. But most of the landlords always let you pay. They'll tell you to pay a year, but you end up paying maybe 10 months. Yes, and the similarity with Ghana is you always have to go through an agent, just like in Ghana. You go through an agent or you go through a professional agency. With the normal agents, you pay, there's a fixed fee of 5,000 francs, which is like maybe 25 cedis or 30 cedis over here.
So would you say cost of, living here in Ghana is high?
Higher, like double.
Because I'm trying to compare,
The cost of living here is really high compared to Cameroon. Yes, it's really high. So when you go through the agents, they have a fixed fee, the 5,000 francs. You pay, they might take you to 3 or 4 locations, and you have to pay the transportation, just same thing like in Ghana. But if you go through the professional agencies, you just sign an agreement with them, and you accept that you're going to pay like 10%. I think it's the same 10% you pay over here. You're going to pay 10% of your rent to the agency once they get you a house. Yeah, so it's the same thing.
When you're talking, you mentioned something about transportation, and so I would want to know your means of transportation back in Cameroon. Here we do a lot of, we have taxis, we have the trotros, and like the buses. And so I would want to know, how is it the same way there? Do you do cabs? Like what do you do?
Yeah, we have taxis, we have buses, but they are not as many as in Ghana. The buses in Cameroon, most of them, depending on the area where you are, actually. If you are somewhere like Douala, they have buses that transport people mostly, maybe if you're living from Douala to Boya. Boya is another neighboring town. But it's not really that much compared to Ghana. A few buses that move inside the towns and everything, you have the government public buses. But people don't really, it's not really a big deal like here in Ghana.
So you said Douala is the economic capital. So I would kind of say like that's like Lagos in Nigeria, where Abuja is the capital. Lagos is really the economic capital. And help me pronounce it right. Yaoundé?
Douala.
No, the capital.
Yaoundé.
Yaoundé is the capital. Let's just say, for the sake of, we're in Accra, so let's say Accra. What is the more expensive country to live in, Accra or Douala? Since Douala is the economic capital.
I always say Accra.
Everybody says that.
Accra.
Everybody.
Yeah,
Everybody says that.
it's serious. Accra, and the issue with Accra is, I think, one of the problems I think I've realized is there's no price control on a lot of things. People just get to put whatever price on whatever they want. Yeah. You find yourself buying something here, 20 cedis, the next shop 30, the next shop 20. Like, I think that's the issue. People just decide whatever price they want.
Have you learned to barter yet, to haggle? Have you learned to negotiate?
I negotiate a lot.
There's this thing that, it's many a time said that foreigners know how to negotiate a lot.
Oh, we make the adjustments.
Exactly.
It used to be cut it in half. Now we know to do it in thirds. Now we know to barter higher.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. I think it's true because, sometimes when I go to the market and maybe they tell me this thing is 50 cedis, I always have this automatic thing that comes to my head to convert to France CFA. And when I convert it, I'm like, no, this thing is supposed to be this price. It's too expensive. And I'll end up cutting the price in two. And like, no, I'm not giving 50 cedis. I'm giving 20. Yeah. So it's just like something that just comes. Like, yeah. But Accra is expensive. Accra is expensive.
Well, I learned that Cameroon is one of the wettest places on earth. And I want to know how true that is, because if it is true, then meaning you have longer rains, and then you don't really experience a lot of sunshine. And so I want to know, it's a good thing, because if you are growing crops, they will need the rain to survive. And but then another thing is, does it affect your settlement?
Not really. The rain, the long rains now, it doesn't really affect us. And with Cameroon being a wealthiest, I think it's the fact that it has a lot of vegetation.
Exactly.
And it has like food all year round. It's not like in Ghana that maybe this period there is not tomato or there's not. In Cameroon, you will not even know when there is not tomato or when there's not. There's food all year round.
And then is there a lot of export since
a
you
lot?
Okay.
Yes, a lot. We like export to the neighboring countries: Chad, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, Congo. We export to a lot of countries, the neighboring countries. And then the banana and the plantains, the timber, we export to foreign countries and all that.
That's awesome.
If I wanted to start additional trade between Ghana and Cameroon, and I want to bring Cameroon items into Ghana, what do you think would be some of the items that Ghanaians would enjoy and be interested in?
To me, I always think about food. We have a lot. I mean, even with the export we do to all these countries, we still have excess for ourselves. Like, so I always think about all the means and ways I could actually bring some of that food over here in such a way that if it's like not the season for tomato here or this, it doesn't really mean anything, because there will always be excess of that to bring from Cameroon. So I think food. Seriously, food.
Which foods do you suggest?
Which food?
Yeah.
I think you can focus on maybe here in Ghana. I think what they like the most is always corn, plantains, cassava, tomatoes. They don't have a lot of green spices here, a lot of vegetables. We have a lot of vegetables in Cameroon, like a lot of it. So, yeah, vegetables. Yeah.
A question I have, you said you're from the northwest part of Cameroon. What is your place known for? Please say the name again. The name of your
Bamenda.
Bamenda. What is Bamenda known for? Is it a party place? Is it vegetation? Is it in the mountains?
It's known for its vegetation. Yes, vegetation. There's a lot of farming there too. It's known for a lot of farming because a lot of people over there are farmers. Yeah. Even the normal like the normal people you see around who don't even have farms, they have a little farm in their back, in their compound or behind their house and everything. So almost everybody in Bamenda does farming one way or the other. If you don't have a big farm somewhere, you have a little farm around your house or something. So it's known mostly for its the farming. Yes, there's a lot of food that comes from there, and the food goes to all the other regions and everything.
Yeah. So how was the transition from a farming community to a city that moves fast?
I think I was able to adapt because I didn't stay all my life in Bamenda.
Okay.
When I did part of my, they call it primary and high school education,
Okay.
like I think JHS and SH equivalent.
SHS, yeah.
Yeah, I did part of it in Bamenda, and I did my university in Yaoundé. Yeah, and I actually grew up in Yaoundé before I moved to come and do the JHS and SHS in Bamenda. So I was able to like adapt to city life and normal, yeah. So it was not really a big deal for me. I was able to cope.
I see you have a lot of waterfalls in Cameroon. Would you say it contributes a lot, to tourism? Do you have people, coming in and out of Cameroon all the time?
Yes, sure. We have a lot of water parks, zoos, and we have the mountain. I don't know if you've heard about. Yes, we have the mountain. A lot of people go there to the mountain side. It's actually in the English-speaking part of Cameroon, Boya, the southwest. Yeah, people go there a lot to visit and look at all the rocks and everything. Yeah, so it contributes a lot to the tourism activities in Cameroon.
Also economically?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
I keep reading the story about Lake Nyola. They call it the most dangerous lake in all of the world.
Okay.
The most dangerous lake in all the world. Every time I started, researching on YouTube and things about what can I learn about Cameroon, this horror story just kept coming up. And to make a long story short, a farmer woke up one morning when he heard a loud boom. He thought it was lightning. And then he went outside and saw a young lady just standing, zoned out, just like panic and frozen. And then he saw some marks on the floor, and he thought that, oh, was it an alien invasion? Like, what are these marks on the floor? And as he got closer, he realized that it wasn't marks on the floor. It was actually dead cattle and dead bodies. And when he looked around, he just saw hundreds, and it turns out in the future, even thousands of dead bodies. So the lake, which people didn't know at the time, had a huge carbon dioxide buildup at the bottom of the lake. And every few decades, hundreds of years, they have an explosion, and then carbon emissions go into the air. So they tell people Lake Naya is the most dangerous lake in all of the world. And that's found in Cameroon. And what even became more disheartening is that people continue to live there and even have to move there because it's inexpensive to move there. Because every time it explodes, people can die, but they move there anyway because it's affordable. Let me use that to transition into what are like the jobs that people have in various areas of Cameroon. I know, Cameroon is one of the largest, 44 million people. But white collar jobs, blue collar jobs, how do people gain their wealth? Like if I wanted to move to Cameroon and live in Cameroon, how can I expect to make a comfortable living, not just getting by, a comfortable living?
Good living.
I would say if you look at maybe the richest people in Cameroon, you will see that most of them, their money, they made it out of farming. Yeah, majority of them made their money out of farming, like agriculture and other import, export of Cameroonian products and everything. So as I was saying, farming is like...
So that's more like a major economic activity.
That's why I say everywhere in Cameroon, except maybe if you go to the French-speaking side, because they really don't put their... Every single home has a farm. No matter... So they have people that have farms thousands of kilometers away. They employ people to actually work on those farms if they cannot do it themselves. So agriculture is really a big deal in Cameroon. Yeah. So if you look at most of the business people over there, it's from farming.
Mm-hmm.
It's from agriculture that they make their money, or those that now maybe they're able to get a lot of money and they venture into maybe selling timber and all that. Yes.
I have two questions going into politics. Another story that I found, again, there's two, I keep repeating it because it's just so amazing, 250 different cultures and traditions. But I heard like the king of Cameroon or the king of Cameroon, one of the kings of Cameroon, in order to, when they have children, no one is to know who the child is. And then once the child is old enough to take reign, then they reveal this is who the child, and the heir has been.
Okay.
All of these, you know.
For that's the heir.
Yeah, for the heir.
The heir to the throne or something like that.
Yeah, the heir to the throne. But let's transition to a different side of politics. The president of Cameroon has been the president the last 40 years.
Yes.
And, you know, the election, he had to change from every 4 years to every 7 years. And now he's been the president for 40 years now. How is that seen in Cameroon? I know they say he wins the re-election every year. Do people feel it's legit or?
Nah, not at all. Like, people are not happy. They don't want him to be there. They want a new person, somebody fresh, you know. He has been there for so long, like since 1982.
Yes.
And I would say he has not really done that much for the country. If you go there, you look at the country, it's like it was even better 40 years ago than what it is right now. There's not really major development or anything, and majority of the time he's not even in the country. He's always in Switzerland or he's in France, and it's like he just rules the country from outside. So with all that, people are not really know. If anyone tells you the person is happy, no, it's a lie. It's a lie.
So many a times we have people that old, you know, who are taking very major roles in, you know, whatever space they find themselves. So looking at Cameroon as an example, would you say that maybe he has people under him, maybe young, energetic, that are maybe assuming that role, and so it's still more like a younger person is ruling?
No.
Did you see the African Union speech?
Where he was actually off. He didn't even know what was going on.
Like dementia.
Yes,
like respectfully, I don't want to get
allegedly. Yeah, he looks like he actually has dementia because he was lost. He was actually asking his bodyguard what is going on here, like, who is he? Is he a celebrity? When I watched the video, I thought it was something photoshopped or something, and I asked a few people, and they told me no, it's real.
For our listeners out there, the African Union, where all the African presidents went to the United States.
Exactly.
Allegedly, I seen the video, but allegedly,
and I feel it's not so cool, you know, to watch, and well.
Yeah. Pretty much, they was waiting for him to speak for several minutes, and they was giving him the paper. He was like, "What's this for?" And it might to speak and passing gas.
Yes.
It was compromising.
So in regards to your question, I don't think there are young people like pushing him, because if you look at the government, the ministers, the Senate president, I mean, all of them are old people. Like, majority of them are people that have been there since when I was like in GHS 1, and they are still there. Yes, they are still there today. So you hear some Cameroonians say sometimes that he is not even in charge of the government, that they are those ministers and certain people in that, maybe the ones working at the Unity Palace and all that, they are the ones in charge of Cameroon. He is just like a puppet somewhere. They just, you know. Yeah, so I will not really say young people.
But I don't know if there has been any move to, you know, get him off.
Well, we're not saying that on this radio station either. We're just asking questions and learning about different cultures and what we see.
So there's no move or no movement at all?
I think the only move we have is voting. Yeah, the only move we actually have is voting. We go out there when it's time to vote, we vote. But when we vote,
I'm going to call a transition. I don't want anybody getting
That is fine.
Alexa. Actually, let's take a break. We're here on 3FM 92.7 FM. We're talking Cameroon, Asedua, Rashad McCrory, DJ IBM. Make sure you check out our social media links at 3FM 92.7 on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We're on Urban Radio Lifestyle.
Exactly.
Up next, more Cameroon and more great music. Rashad McCrory, Asedua. We're with our guest from Cameroon, Miss Jane Olive. 15 more minutes for the show, so we're heading to the finish line. Thank you so much for coming on with us today. A few questions that we have for you. Cameroon. Every country has, their artists, their celebrities that they put on national display that always finds a way to bring in some sort of revenue.
They always go with that's like every time you mention Cameroon, if that's number one thing that comes out of everybody's mouth. Yeah. Samuel Eto'o. Like even in Ghana, if I mention to anyone I'm from Cameroon, the person is like, oh, Eto'o. I'm like, yes. Yeah. So that's like the number one celebrity that everybody knows.
Really?
Yes.
He's handling the national
team now. Yes, he's in charge of the football federation in Cameroon.
Awesome. Yes. So when you talk about entertainment, what does Cameroon do? What do you do as a means of entertaining yourselves? Do you have interest in movies? I've not really had the opportunity to see a rare Cameroonian movie. So I want to know, is it more like you are into performing art, or you have, production is key in Cameroon?
Yes, when it comes to entertainment, we have a film industry, actually. Cameroon.
Okay.
Yes. We have a film industry. We have a music industry. We have the people doing footballers and everything. For the entertainment, for films, if you have not really heard about any movie, Cameroonian movie, I think it's because they're still struggling. Yes, they are still struggling and trying to gain international recognition and everything.
For me, I think that since when you talk about languages, English, which is prime, you speak it. French is also prime, you speak it. So why would the language be a challenge? Unless, of course, you want to go indigenous or something.
I think even when it comes to the music, the film, I think we have a challenge actually really going out there and gaining the recognition, because most countries don't actually know that Cameroon, they speak English in Cameroon. Most people believe that Cameroon is a French country.
Oh.
Yes, that's what I got to realize. Many people think we speak just French in Cameroon. So they don't even have the time to check, okay, maybe these people speak a different language. Let me check out what they are doing. Let me watch their movies. Because they just assume that we speak French. Yes, so they don't even know English is number one language in Cameroon. The thing is just something you decide to learn if you want to. So I think that's one of the reasons why we're not able to really go out there. The music, since I've been in Ghana, I don't think I've even heard any Cameroonian music being played somewhere. Yeah, the only French music I've heard is mostly Mewe. They mostly play Mewe, or they play Fali Ipupa. That's Ivorian Congolese once in a while. But Cameroonian music, I've never heard it anywhere.
So any artist that has sort of broken that boundary, any?
Yeah, we talk about Stanley Eno. Yes, Stanley Eno. He was the number among the young ones.
Yeah.
You talk about Stanley. He was the one that actually took us out there, Nigeria, South Africa, and people started putting their eyes now on Cameroon. That okay, let's see what's going on here. Then later now, the local, those are the number one in Cameroon. The local, the Blanche Bailey, Magasco. Those are the ones that actually, but the person that really took us out there was Stanley Eno. Among the youths, yes. Stanley Eno.
That's nice.
In where you're from, the Northwest, are there any traditional marriage ceremonies, is there a proper way to propose to someone, whether it's to be in a relationship, to know someone better, and ultimately marriage? Is it something that's traditional, standard?
Yeah, we do have a process. There's a whole process to getting married and everything. Like initially, the first process, obviously, the lady has to inform her parents that she has a suitor, she has somebody that is interested in her, and if they agree, you guys make a date for something we call knock door. Calling knock door is like knocking the door. Yes, we call it knock door.
It's like that in Ghana where we have the knocking.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys now arrange for the knock door where the guy comes with his family to come. They come to your house with your parents, your uncles, and all that. Whatever family member you decide. Then when you come there, the girl's family will ask the guy a couple of questions and everything and decide if they will actually let you marry their daughter. Then with that, now they'll provide a list for you. A list of items and whatever things you have to do in order to bring. Those items are mostly the things that you have to provide on the traditional wedding.
Like, so, name some of the items.
Sometimes it's like yam, salt, palm oil, goat. Can be a goat, it can be cow, depending on the tribe, because the tribes, they have various different items, but majority of the time it's yam, salt, red oil, goat, the palm nut and bitter kola.
Bitter kola.
And kola. Those, we also use it to do some traditional rites during the traditional wedding and everything.
Okay, wow.
So after the knock door, when they give you the list now, you can now move on to the traditional part of the wedding.
And what's the traditional part of the wedding? The
traditional part of the wedding, most of the times, the guy has to bring his family over to the girl's compound. Some tribes, you need to go to the girl's village. They actually do the traditional thing in the girl's village. But because of the whole, some people, there are villages where it is found, and with the case of what was going on in Cameroon, some people now decided to do it in their own houses. But the guy will have to bring his family, his friends, organize dances, they organize a lot of things. They come over to the girls' compound. They do all the traditional rites. So when they are doing the traditional rites, there's a part where they might pick like 5 or 6 girls and they cover them up. And they come and they bring them in front of everybody and they tell the guy to point out his wife. And they actually cover you up. So
Has there been a situation where someone someone has mistakenly picked another person?
And when you do that, there's a penalty. There's a penalty for that. You're going to pay for it.
Oh, you have to pay for it. But maybe he picked out his new wife. It's polygamy there.
So when you go ahead and do it, if you pick out your wife, everybody's happy, excited. You guys exchange whatever vows you want to exchange there. Then later the girl's family and the guy's family will take the girl to go and escort her to the guy's family. Then from there now, it's like she's already officially married to the guy. And you guys can prepare now for the white wedding.
Jane, we're so thankful to have had you on Beats Africa. Before you go, is there something that you believe will help the Cameroonian people, the youth, the women, any genre you choose, or the country as a whole? Is there anything that you believe that the Cameroon that will help Cameroon?
I think for me, what's going to help Cameroon, the number one thing is that I believe Cameroonians should be more supportive. They should be more supportive of each other. They should learn how to, like, as we're talking about the music and the film and everything, they should be more supportive and push our content out there. They should not give up thinking, because this other country is more popular or this country is taking over, it means we have to be left behind and everything. I think they should put more effort in pushing our content out there, supporting each other however we can do it, whether it's on social media or it's going out there and supporting them when they are organizing any event. I think that's the number one thing.
I know you said you do a lot of drop shipping, you do a lot of juice making. If anybody wanted to purchase some items from you or find out more about your businesses or anything like that, how can they reach you? Social media, email?
You can reach me on social media, on Instagram, or on my line. I mostly do the posting most of the time on my business line on WhatsApp.
Yeah, I don't think we give out
numbers. You do a lot of
though, right?
digital marketing?
Yes, dropshipping, yes, digital marketing. I do a lot of that. I've not really created a page yet for, yes, so I do a lot of advert more on my WhatsApp business line and all that.
Okay. What is your Instagram?
My Instagram is it's _bean_Jenny.
Okay, say it one more time.
It's _bean_Jenny.
It's
Okay.
like IT.
IT.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. Asejua,
Yeah.
any final words?
Well, I've had a fun time from here. It's been a learning bit for me. So I've learned so much from Cameroon, and I believe that they are beautiful, people. Yeah.
The Cameroon on the map, the way that it looks on the map, the way that the boundaries it's like a rooster. It's actually one of the more unique.
Yeah.
Just like Africa is a horn and then you turn it sideways, it's a rhino. Or North America is a dragon. Cameroon looks like a rooster, very, very proud, very strong and very powerful. And just learning so much about Cameroon, going through everything this week, Jane, it was just like, it's so much to learn. And it's a country that here on Beats Africa, we can continue to go back and forth with. One quick question. What is the policy on like censorship? Are things censored in Cameroon? Like, is it anything goes, or do like violence or any sort of activity? Is there a monitor on it, or?
I think what is really monitored in Cameroon is especially things concerning politics. Yes.
Yeah.
Politics. That's like the number one thing that is censored and monitored a lot in Cameroon.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Apart from that, I don't think there's any other. Yeah, it's politics.
One of the motivations for asking that question is in the United States, another Black American was killed by police. Was brutalized by police.
I saw that yesterday.
And not to talk about that per se, but the images are all over the internet.
Exactly.
And I have a personal boycott, and I ask anybody who choose to listen to just take thought of it. Only in African countries and in Black America we see dead bodies all over the news, all over the internet, things of that nature. We've been watching the war in Ukraine for over a year now. Have you seen a Ukrainian
It's a
body?
very sensitive, thing to deal with.
Yeah, but
That's
every
right.
time something horrific happens to Africans,
Okay.
it's all over
It's
the
out
thing.
there.
So
Yeah.
I just wanted
Excuse me, about that, I think, we don't have a lot of those type of things in Cameroon. The only time there was really censor on such things, images and everything, was during when the Anglophone crisis was really at its
Okay.
At its peak?
Yes, at its peak. There was a lot of you were not even allowed to post anything concerning that. They were monitoring people's accounts, monitoring everything, at the point where they even had to cut internet in the English-speaking part of Cameroon. People were not able to have internet for almost 3 months.
Wow.
They had to use all the VPN and all those
Yeah.
things.
Wow.
Before it was restored later. I think that's the highest time that there was any censoring of images and whatever. Even the telecom people were sending you messages to remind you
Wow.
that if you share anything
Wow.
concerning.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's really close.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that was the only time that there was really a lot of censoring of certain images and
Yeah, I just hope people can be mindful when we're sharing, beatings and bodies online. It's training us to think it's okay, and it's not okay.
It's not cool.
Respectfully to anybody, it's not okay. So hopefully, as a whole and as a continent, we can start.
Yes.
No, I'm not watching. No, I'm not sharing. Stop giving it views. Stop letting YouTubers and Twitter people get famous off of our lives. So, another great episode of Beats Africa,
Exactly.
3FM 92.7. Next week, we will be in the Central African country of Gabon.
Yeah.
Gabon.